Hey traders, Stephen Quitzel here with TradesPlan.com. It is Friday, April the 17th, pre-market, about 30 minutes before the market's open. I just wanted to shoot a quick 10-minute video. Let's look at where the money's flowing. Let's look at the strongest ETFs in the market this week. I have a list of 239 individual sector, country, industry ETFs, so I usually rank them by different, time frames. So we're just going to see, this is Monday through Thursday. I'm sure this list could change, after the market opens on today. But for the week, let's just kind of get an idea of how some money's flowing. This was a very interesting ETF. This ProShares Long Short ETF. I found this a couple weeks ago, and I thought the idea was genius. Now, and it's been around really for a while. And you can see some money is starting to flow into it, but this is the strongest ETF. What this does is it goes long online stores and it shorts brick and mortars. So, it's long the Amazons, Alibabas, Wayfairs, Etsy, places like that. And it is shorting, the brick and mortars, probably the Macy's, the JCPenney's of the world. So it is definitely an online play. And it's starting to do very well. Very thinly traded at 32,000 shares a day, but I have a feeling this is going to be incredibly popular. So we'll kind of keep an eye on this because this looks pretty good. It did still, if we look at it, this is not prone it's not prone to avoid the sell-off. So you can see it did sell off with the market, but that depth is only 15%. This means this only sold off 15% when the NASDAQ sold off 33%, okay? So it sold off half the market, and it is roaring higher. It's above the 5-day moving average. I would definitely wait for a pullback. If you like this idea, I would definitely only probably invest in something like this when the relative strength line is outperforming the overall market. But also, I think that this, if we do get, a pullback, whether it's 5%, whether it tested the 50 or the 20, or even a lower test, I think this is going to hold up very well because it is short the weaker stock. So it's just an interesting idea. You can say the next best stock is this genomic, if that's how you say that, Revolution ETF, ARKG, A-R-K-G. Companies, it's a biotech. But it's looking really good. It kind of really invests in game-changing biotechs. But look, it's almost it's only 5% from an all-time high, where the overall NASDAQ is 13% of the overall high. So again, these are the kinds of things that you want to be invested in. You want to be invested in the stocks or the ETFs that are either almost at an all-time high or approaching all-time high. They are showing relative strength. I don't want to be invested in the Carnival Cruises of the world. I don't want to be invested in, auto stocks or the stuffs that can snap back really hard, just because I think their earnings are going to dip for a very long time. But, that's me. Maybe you want to go after that, but I prefer to focus on quality right now. Right now, biotech is definitely leading the way. RING, ETF, R-I-N-G. This is the Ishares. Gold miners ETF. This is at an all-time high. You can see it poked its head above its all-time high on Tuesday, pulled back a little bit, riding the 5-day moving average. I gotta admit, I am very interested in gold for the simple fact that this was one heck of a shakeout, right? When the market sold off, I think one reason why gold sold off so much because everybody started buying the dollar. So you look at a safe haven, but it didn't necessarily work out that way because everybody went to the safe haven of the dollar, which it has an inverse relationship with gold. But now all of a sudden it snapped back and it's at an all-time high. It's, right around some major pivots, or at least the gold miners is. But gold is already up here getting closer to the price of gold. And we can look at this GLD is already getting close to its 2011 high. So I'm not going to write gold off, even though it had a very, very, very ugly sell-off. This is looking interesting. Whoops. Okay, let's go back. Wisdom Tree Cloud Computing. You can see that it's the cloud computing stocks are up pretty nicely, up 7% Monday through Thursday. So you can see right here, it does kind of look like the market because the NASDAQ looks like it's about right here, a few percentage above the 50-day moving average. But This week it has, definitely been outperforming the overall market. So it looks pretty good. So, maybe one thing, I've been reading a lot of articles, and a lot of companies, whether tech companies or just a lot of American companies in general, are starting to spend more on cloud computing. They're starting to spend more on that type of infrastructure, that software infrastructure, at a higher rate than they would have based on, moving online, based on online security, everything that's happened. So companies are accelerating their budgets towards, moving more stuff towards the cloud, towards more software infrastructure. So it makes sense that this ETF is looking pretty good. I talked about miners. Nigeria, is that something I really want to talk about? No, that looks like crap. That has been in a downtrend since the beginning of time. So there's just no point to look at that. Junk buying. Queb, Chinese internet companies right here, you can see is up 6.4%. And this kind of looks like the NASDAQ too. The NASDAQ's just a little bit above, and you can see the NASDAQ 100 is right here. Just a little bit above the 50-day moving average. Still got about 11% to the high, which is about close to the overall market. So this is kind of more, to me, seems like more of if it's a market tracking ETF at the moment, it's not showing a lot of relative strength. So that's not very exciting. And then you got the QQQ that, see, it's just right above the. I'd rather buy something like this at the moment than buy something like this, because this is volatile, choppy. This is, even though this still is very volatile, it's at least got some smooth rides along the way. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Video game ETF. This is something that's a little bit interesting, something that's different. And look right here. We do have, it's up slightly below the NASDAQ 100, but probably above the overall market. A lot of people are trying to, in my opinion, and I can attest to this, they're trying to keep their at-home children occupied. I just bought my son a Nintendo Switch, and I've never even considered doing that before, but there's only so much, there's only so much stuff a kid can do while they're staying at home for months and months at a time. So I think a lot of parents are trying to do things to get their kids occupied, that way they don't go crazy, because I have a neighborhood full of children, but my kids cannot play with them at the moment, given the coronavirus situation. So, and look, you have another cloud computing ETF right here, but if this one is outperforming this one, focus on this one. So I want to kind of, recap everything. Like, the market is surging this morning. There's some stocks that are looking really good. One thing, and I'll just go back to the QQQ for a second to look at the overall market. 10%. This is 10% from an all-time high. Amazon is already at an all-time high and just surging. And I own some, so I'm pretty happy about that. But my point is, I've been talking about, since we really started bottoming, that this very well could be a V-shaped recovery. And maybe it comes up here, pulls back a little bit, and goes back up. But at this point in time, unless we get another wave, in the fall, or I just do not see this undercutting the previous low. The market is forward looking. They're looking at 6 to 12 months earnings out. So when they see just a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, which there is right now, they're just going to start buying. Okay. So let me kind of recap. I think this is, this clicks. This is an interesting idea that is obviously has some legs to it. This is a long online retailers, short brick and mortar retailers. You have a biotech ETF, more of a game changing, gold miners, cloud computing, and I think those are, and then the video games is also kind of showing some outperformance. So you have about 4 or 5 ideas, I think. I'm not buying everything that's in the top, but just want to give you some ideas, some things to think about over the weekend, maybe some areas of stocks to really look at. I hope this was helpful.